Good morning all, CamelbackTrading.org coming to you this Monday morning, February 8th. We are looking at the SPY ETF's market profile here on Window Trader. Let's first start off that very disappointing football game last night. Expecting a good match. Obviously, Tampa Bay rolling all over them. Most of you know I'm not a Brady fan, but kudos to the Tampa Bay Bucks and him. He's the greatest quarterback. Their defense was incredible. I can't remember a time where Mahomes went back to pass and didn't start running for his life literally a second after he dropped back. So Tampa Bay, total domination. Kind of like this market. Nice segue, right? 31-9 was the final last night. 319. Is that a little omen for the floor and the SPY this year? If it is, remember, we've only 2 years in its existence did the SPY and S&P never trade below its 200-day moving average, 2013, 2017. Will this attempt to be a third time this year? Or maybe that 319 is an omen and we will get below the 200-day moving average. Right now, all these indices looking to gap higher on a weekly, don't forget, to all-time highs. So right now, the idea of IWM gapping to a new all-time high, again, is 75 minutes to go prior to the opening. They went out with a price probe Friday. They filled their gap on Friday, but now they're looking to gap higher on the weekly. Triple Qs also filled their gap on Friday. Now their gap right now this morning is a lot smaller than either the IWMs or the S&P right now, but they're attempting to gap higher. And now to the SPY NES. We held our gap on Friday. So we only, out of the three indices, that held our gap. Now, I know a lot of you in ES use N as your regular trade now is high, so you filled it maybe to the tick. Regular trade now is in SPY, we did not. Remember, we had the price probe that we didn't even test, hold the gap 10 wide, and now we're attempting to gap higher this morning. So let's go over destinations in a game plan. Well, right now, the only thing I had on the upside, I was using K's high as an afternoon rally high of 388.03. Then we had Friday's high, an all-time high of 388.47, which don't forget was a poor high. Right now, pre-market high, I had 389.08, but now I am seeing a tick at 389.80, it looks like. Now, again, I don't know how legit that is. Actually, this is showing 389.50 something. So again, that's why the pre-market high in SPY is definitely a lot less reliable than the futures. So I'll have to see come 9 o'clock what I will use in SPY. This is showing around the 389.50 something level, but already they're showing 389.80 on the DOM. Okay. Downside destinations. Well, if we do gap higher, it will be. Well, right now my overnight high is 387.58 and then filling the gap at 388.47, which is Friday's high. So the pre-market low and the gap are pretty close together. And then below that, we don't have anything for another $1 to 10 wide where we were at 387.42. And then Friday's low 386.49, filling the gap at 386.24, 25-point gap. And then 385.46, the price probe from February 4th, and 384.97, L's low and afternoon pullback low from that same day. So game plan for this morning. Well, right now in the SPY, we're talking about a gap of about $1.50. You know how I feel about that? I like to see the gap of $1 or less. So in the next 75 minutes, if the gap is below $1, but more than, say, 10 or 15 cents, I would look to take a call play. I'd be out if the gap fills. If the gap does fill and then they come right back at it, because a lot of times that's what they want to do, I could always get back involved, especially if we get back above the opening. That's one call play early. As far as a short play, if we're to open, run up. Now, again, I'll have to see what the ES's overnight high is. I would use that one and see if they want to front run the overnight high to possibly take a short play against that. Those are two very early plays. As far as the other ones, again, the Russell right now, that gap is rather large. It's right now it's about 100 and 113, 115 ticks. So again, if that becomes less than 100 ticks, take a call play against that, out. If the gap fills, then you can take a long again against the price probe if we were to trade down against E's high. Any acceptance back into Friday's range, you might see that 10 wide POC. Triple Qs, their gap is a lot smaller, which means the odds of it holding would be slimmer. So if the gap is that small, I would just watch and see and wait for more market-generated information. Then on the charts, just going to show you SPYs this morning. Just a weekly and a daily. So remember, I said I called it a weekly up. Well, right now, not only is it attempting to stay up, we're attempting to gap higher. So if we gap higher, we'll be one time framing up 2 weeks to start that week. See if we hold a weekly gap. Right? That's the intermediate time frame. So that's important to see if these gaps will hold. Pre-market volume right now is only 260,000. So right now it's light. We'll see as we get closer. We have been doing 1 million shares pre-market, which has been pretty good. And then the daily, we've been one time framing up for 5 days. The gaps are my focus. There's 2 of them that are holding. This would be 3 possibly if we gap higher. So that remains to be seen. Getting stretched out a bit, a little poor structured. Gaps are a form of emotional trading, so especially if this becomes 3 gaps now in the last 5-6 trading days, again, that's something to keep an eye on because the volume is not being supported up here. There's no big players in here. This is just short-term algos and day traders continuing to grind this up. Good luck trading today. Have a great day, and we'll recap at 4 p.m.